Welcome back to Sputnik. Music has charm to soothe the savage beast, said William Congreve in the 17th century. It certainly soothed me in the 1960s when I discovered Tamla Motown and its edgier cousin, Stax Records.
Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, Little Stevie Wonder, The Supremes, The Temptations, Jackson 5, and also, lest we forget, Sam and Dave, Junior Walker and the All-Stars. If Manchester is a long way from Motown, how far distant is today's X Factor's conveyor belt of manufactured music from Berry Gordy's Soul Factory?
Perhaps not as far as you think. Joining us now to discuss the distance travelled is Miss H, formerly from a strict religious background, now a real soul sister, singer and DJ. Miss H, thanks for joining us. It's my thesis that Motown was exactly the same as the X Factor. You had a maestro, Berry Gordy in the case of Motown, Simon Cowell in the case of X Factor, who put people together artificially who'd never met each other before as bands and told them what they should release. And everyone was happy because the world danced, the artists made a fortune. Berry Gordy made the biggest fortune of all. Do you agree with that?
I think that in the way it's engineered is probably similar, but I think that the complete difference in Motown and the style of singers, the fashion, the words in the the lyrics of the songs are completely different to some of the things we see coming through on the X Factor. I think, personally, my humble opinion, is sometimes the music we see on X Factor or the show itself is popular because we're told to think it's popular. With all the exposure that it gets and all the hype that's on the show and the way it tugs at your heartstrings, things like that. But I think looking at the show, there's a lot of engineering and a bit of manipulation of people's emotions.
This year's 2014 X Factor, Ben Haenow, he's a decent fellow with a half-decent voice, but he defeated in the final ballot 10 million people having voted, by the way. So it raised a lot of money, that ballot. Fleur, a black singer with phenomenal talent. I mean, I'll predict that 12 months from now, she'll be a worldwide superstar. But Ben Haenow, a rather ordinary act, defeated her. I take the view, you may or may not agree, that she lost because she was black, because she had a black family, although a white father. And because her music was black music. And in a poll of 10 million, although there will be millions who like black music, that's not going to be a winner. What's your view?
Well, if that was the case, I would be absolutely horrified. There's an actor from the IT crowd I noticed in the Mirror paper said that the British public are quite discriminative against black people, which surprised me. It was the first time, really, that I'd looked into this.
On this subject, I'm interested in it. You're white, but you're a soul singer. You're a Motown singer. You're a Motown DJ. You play black music.
Yep.
The people you're playing it to and singing to, are they black or are they white? And how do you explain it if they're white?
There's a mix, really. I think the people that I'm drawn to and who are drawn to me like the same kind of genre of music, R&B, hip-hop, soul, Motown. I even get Northern Soul requests, so I've got loads of that. I think, really, without offending anyone, I think it's the best kind of music. It's got the best rhythm, the best vocals. I just prefer it more than the average pop that you get. And I really don't like the average pop scene, really. So
well, the origins of Motown are, of course, in the blues, in jazz, banks of the Mississippi, the urban wasteland of the ghetto, and so on. I'm wondering how that's so attractive to and appealing to people like us who don't come from there or that background. We were lucky enough to be on the right side of the tracks. This music is from the wrong side of the tracks. What's the appeal?
I think because they sing with so much feeling and the lyrics, you know, they really grab you. I understand that Motown and rap as well, the earlier rap does date back to the times of oppression and domestic violence, things like that, and, you know, wanting to be released from the oppression. And I think with some people who understand that, they really, really do appreciate that kind of music.
Well, I was there first time around. I would have been in the dance halls around 67, 68. And this wave, I mean, talk about a hit factory. There were hundreds of hit records coming out of Motown at that time. So it was a soundtrack of my youth. But you weren't born then, and yet you still love that same music. Tell us why.
Well, as you said, it's got soul that speaks to your heart. And even though I take your point of the X Factor and Motown being similar music industries, factories, it's, as she said, as Miss H says, the soul that gets through it, that gets transferred to the listener, is completely different from nowadays, from as to the Motown kind.
But you know, this concept, Simon Cowell, people think it's Simon Cowell's concept of choosing entirely disparate people, putting them together in a band, first of all, has always been done. Secondly, was done not just by black music impresarios, but white. The Monkees, for example, who weren't actually a bad band. They were four entire strangers who people were invited to write in to join a band called the Monkees. And they wrote in from all over the country, the United States, the world. They became big stars. Or One Direction. One Direction had never set eyes on each other before Simon Cowell put them together. Now they're the biggest band in the entire world. And Ronnie Wood of the Rolling Stones was playing with them on stage on the X Factor final. And guess what? One Direction are becoming quite a great band. You surprised at that?
I'm not surprised, because I do see a lot of people that are fans, especially in the younger generation, and I think they are quite suitable for maybe the younger generation, you know, 10-year-olds,
Ronnie Wood's
12-year-olds.
older than me, but he was drawn to appear with them because he could see that they've kind of got something.
Is that really the case, or is that just an engineered media stunt?
Well, that's a good question. I think I've got enough respect for Ronnie Wood's integrity that he wouldn't have played with them if he doesn't need the money. He's been with the Rolling Stones for 20 years. They're playing for £1 million each per gig. I think he saw something in them, which means that Simon Cowell saw something in them that turned out to be right.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you got into this groove of Motown and soul music, and how your friends and family responded to that?
I think from a very young age, I've always been around musical family. My brother used to play saxophone. My older brother used to love his music too. My sister always used to play things like Whitney Houston as she was getting ready to go out, things like that. Also, you know, growing up, I had a really good chance, an opportunity to mix with a diverse group of people. So I was exposed to a lot of different kinds of music, and the main kind of music was Motown, soul, that kind of thing. And I just developed a love for it. And obviously looking up to people that were older than me and the kind of music they liked, I think that had a measure of influence. And also, since I've been singing a lot more recently, my partner, he's a major lover of soul and R&B, hip-hop, and he was the one really that pushed me into singing more soul and Motown, and since then it's become quite a success for me. Yeah.
Give us your website address so people could check you out.
missh.co.uk.
missh.co.uk. There'll be a lot of people hitting it right now.